Hi, everyone. I'm Kerry Cassidy from Project Camelot, and we are doing our Patriot Roundtable. And we've got 3 of the 4 women here so far, and we're just going to kind of plow ahead because we're not sure if Laura can make it today or not. She's having some family things happening. And so we've got Dr. Sharnael, Sihan Wolverton, or Wolverton Sihan. I think I got that name.
Dr. Sharnael is easier. Yeah, let's go for it. Yes.
And we've got Jennifer Eason, and again me. So basically, I was hoping, I did text everyone that I was hoping we could at least discuss. It doesn't mean you have to watch it, because I know a lot of people haven't had time. I barely have had time. I only watched a little bit of it. The committee, House Intelligence Committee hasn't done a sort of open meeting on UFOs, what they like to call UAPs, for apparently 50 years, which is hard to believe. So that has just happened today and was announced with like 1 week advance notice out of the blue, or it's seemingly to be out of the blue. And I'd love to talk about why they even are bothering now. And, we can also discuss whether you think they're going to go anywhere. And if you saw any of it, we can talk about that as well. That's one topic that I have in mind. There are many. There's so much going on, and it's also a crapshoot. If you want to, talk a little bit about that and then grab another topic, we can also roll with that. It's not hard and fast with me. I saw that, and I did want to kind of launch into that a little bit, but. Well, let's just go around the circle. Maybe just before we kind of get into topics, we could just say hello, say a little bit about yourself, or, we know a lot of people know who we are. We do these all the time. They're like, we try to do them monthly. I don't know if we're succeeding in that, actually.
Pretty good.
But approximately once a month, we try all to get together, the 4 of us, and just sort of bat ideas around, thoughts we're having, things that are out there, events happening, et cetera, because we're in an incredible time right now. And it's if you want to look at it, it's very exciting. It can be very draining. It can be very challenging. And it really depends how it's affecting you. And we all live in different parts of the country, which adds to the story. So Jen, do you want to kind of start with just an overview of where you're at? And if you want to start into the topic, fine. If you want to leave that until we go all the way around, and then we could do that.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you so much for hosting, Kerry, in your lovely California weather. We can vicariously act like we're out there with you. But I want to say hi, Sharnael. How are you doing? You look great.
I miss you guys. It's been, this time I think it was 5 weeks, or 6 weeks. I was like, I miss y'all.
I know, right? It's been too long whenever we have to have time in between, but this is great. I just want to say that I'm excited about the unraveling of things. I feel like, okay, I knit and crochet, so I like to unravel things. I just realized this about myself. And I used to live out there, in Southern Cali, and I had a whole knitting family out there. Some of my friends would joke around and say, oh, this is the underground knitting community, because it spanned throughout Southern California. I could go hang out in where is it, Laguna, and then there was a yarn shop there, really big one, and then they were all throughout Thousand Oaks, all through Studio City. I mean, we just had little pockets of friends, But one of the things that I've learned about this whole thing that I can relate to it is that I see us as the people that we don't mind doing the tedious work of this, it's kind of this fabric of putting this tapestry back together, but also you have to untangle it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't like that work. And I've always liked that part of like the fiber arts to relate it to that. It's like the untangling of like if you get knots in your yarn. Well, if you go shop at, you know, Target, or I'm not trying to put it down, but if you go get stuff that's made from synthetic stuff, you don't mind throwing it out. But if you are shopping at these stores that have natural fibers, you're not going to be too quick to just cut a tangle out and throw it away. You're going to work it out, right? Tease, untease, you know, you see what I'm saying? It's like you gently tease it out and work out the, if you want to say, the kinks. Okay, I mean, I have to do that with my hair. Okay, and it's like, you know, you have to like work things out, and you get the result if you're patient with it as it unfolds. So that's what I'm seeing right now. I'm just in this sort of, if you want to say, this vibe, and I realize that about information and the relearning of the things that we were mistaught. As we are unlearning, it's like the unraveling to reattach this tapestry, this beautiful tapestry, but we're doing it with organic fiber. We don't want polyester, okay? And that's the whole thing. Like when you think about GMO, heirloom seeds, human, non-human, transhuman, the people that our hearts gravitate towards the organic, we find each other. We may not all believe the same things. You know, I'm a Christian over here, you know, I'm a big Jesus girl, but I get along. We have an understanding of humanity above so many things, and we can work out the details. But that's what I'm starting to see, even with the liberals, like, you know, that they are unhinged with a lot of things. If they were to calm down, let's all calm down. Maybe we have a meal together and just like talk. We would learn that most of us want the same things. We really do. Most human beings, I'll say, that haven't sold their soul to a dark agenda, we want the same thing. We want freedom. We don't want to be told what we can do. We do no harm. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I just want to share that. I'm excited about these narratives that are collapsing, that are false and dark, and the ones that are emerging. Because right now I'm just like in the Antarctica right now. I'm learning about the polar circle, the people that come from the area, and I'm loving it. Okay, because it's tinfoil hat, you know, Antarctica. It's been another suppressed thing. So anything that's been suppressed, that's what we need to focus on, right? So I just wanted to say that. I think that we all like to just untangle things, and it takes time. Be patient with it.
Okay, lovely. I think it's a great start. I think, let me just say that before we continue, that actually, in a certain sense, we all do a similar job, right? We're all broadcasters and investigators. You know, we are looking into mysteries. That's part of, I think, what every single one of us, even, you know, Laura's not here, but I'll say, I believe Laura does the same thing. So I think that unified us right immediately. Remember when we met in person and we were all invited to Juan's, you know, soiree, whatever, whatever you want to call it, in Vegas. That's the one thing I thought that brought us together really quickly. We kind of cut through a lot of red tape that way on a human level. So yeah, I like that. I like that analogy to the threads and yarn and all that. So Sharnael.
Yes. So I always have this question, like, who are you? What do you do? And it's, how do you answer that? Right. Yes, I have a podcast. I'm an author of 5 books, and I did TV for years, and now everything's online. So yeah, I mean, contactee, researcher, definitely Kerry and Jen have been a big part of my my processing people. And you know, I liked what I'm a naturopathic doctor, I forgot that. My background is 20 years of ministry, and now when I went back to school to be a doctor, but I don't do the Western pharma stuff. I do everything natural, a lot of energy medicine, biofeedback, soil audits, things like that. But also a foster mom. So if you see cats everywhere, this is 97 cats I've had in 4 years, and I'm just finished bottle feeding 2 that are running around crying. So sorry, but not sorry, but here they're on my feet and behind me and everything else. So, but yes, I liked how Jen was talking about the suppression too. And because Kerry, even this week, like, we don't talk all the time on the phone, but we did talk this week, and we text more. Well, all of us text continuously when we find things and have a cool aha moment, or a different interview, or a new person we found, or new things that we found out about. But Kerry has been a big part of my own unveiling of my own suppression in my life. And you know, from coming out of Montauk and dealing with some of the stuff, being stationed there, from 73 to 76, and being part of the underground stuff that went there. And Kerry, this week you brought me some pieces that really put some things together for me. And so part of my reason for even doing this in the first place is because I'm a patriot, because I absolutely love truth, because I've had contact ever since I was 4 years old, over and over again, actually 3 years old. Actually, if you want to say, from the womb, when they started all this with me. And but as far as memory, I can recall that in the womb at 20, I guess about around 20 weeks. But just having a lot of bleed through over the years, and especially more in 2008. And then, you know, there's been memories that have always been there, but they didn't make any sense in this context of now, you know. So there's been times when I was really pushing and digging and looking, and then there's been times when I've had to pull back, because I've almost felt like it was harvesting my energy to try that hard. And honestly, some of it's pretty gross and disgusting and not fun on a personal level, because of what I went through. But Kerry put a lot, even this week, more things that were suppressed were put together for me. Just so it's these kind of conversations that help me. And that's why I started, is I never meant to like come out and talk about it or whatever, but in doing so, I have met so many people, and they bring pieces, and another person brings a piece, and then someone else will even make a comment, or, you know, slide in my DM or send a message and say, hey, you said this, and I wanted to give you this information. And so that goes back to that whole interwoven threads, because we are all one cell of source, and we all have these experiences and perspectives. And, you know, I think we're all just trying to figure shit out. You know, it's just like not only our own stuff, but just the whole collective. And sometimes it's very isolating. But talking about things that are even hard make me feel less crazy and less alone. I just did a really vulnerable show on Sunday that if you would have asked me a year ago if I was going to do it, I never would have talked about it. But it was, when I finished, I mean, I was like almost sick before I did it, just anxiety and stress and stuff, because the last time I was on Kerry's show, not the last time, but the first time I'll say I was on Kerry's show, we got really sick after that. And I thought I was talking about my book, and she ended up asking me all these questions about my experience in Montauk. And I went there, and then that night I had some terrible things happen, and I was shaking, and there were people over my bed, and I was going in and out of consciousness, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And when I did wake up, I was on the side of my bed, completely naked, in the fetal position, with no covers, and my clothes were perfectly folded right next to me, and I felt like I was going to puke, and I was sick for 3 days. And I don't fold my clothes, not even on a good day. Ask anybody. And I don't sleep naked. And a matter of fact, I have a lot of weighted blankets on me just because it's hard for me to sleep without feeling protected. And I know it's mental, but and I called Kerry that day and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ill. And she was also ill too. And I was sick for 3 days, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to talk about anything anymore. And so I kind of shut down and more spoke about other people's experiences, and had different people on again for just selfish reasons of trying to figure stuff out and try to see if I could help anybody. Talking about this stuff often triggers other people's memories and other people's stuff, and then they can find their own story in these things. And so I finally came and did an hour show Sunday, and I really even talked about more. And I could do it with less emotion. I have found more healing to even say Max Spears' name and to talk about some of the stuff. And before I couldn't. So I'm very thankful for you all as people and what you're doing and your way that you do it, because if there were more of us doing this, who knows how things could be. But it's just being authentic and just being real and just being honest and just having that connection with you guys, and also everyone who participates with us, because all the viewers, you guys are amazing. What would we do without someone to talk to and someone to get this feedback from? And you guys are a big part of our missing links. And, we do need each other. It's not isolating. That's just an illusion. But I fall into that trap sometimes too. So I love that interwoven idea, Jen. And you made me the most beautiful shawl, and I sleep with it every single night. No joke. I sleep with it, and it makes me feel happy, and it makes me think of you. And I just love you guys so much, and I love Laura, and I just appreciate being here.
Okay, well, that was really beautiful. So, well, I do want to say that whenever that happened, that was a long time ago. I don't know how long ago the first time, we talked about all of that. So that would have been, I'm not even trying, I don't even know if I can.
2 or 3 years ago?
Like at least, because we met at the Double Down, so it has to be 2 years ago.
It was way before that, though, that we interviewed even. So.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
So I knew you, oh, right. I knew you before the Double. Oh, so it was even longer ago. Yeah. So that was a long time ago. And then just recently this, like you said, this week, we had another discussion.
About cloning.
I didn't even remember the first one. Like, I didn't even remember all that. But let me just say along these lines, I have actually been sick for 2 days. So I just yesterday and the day before, out of the blue, but not quite out of the blue, because I disclosed a bunch of stuff recently, okay, in 2 major videos, one with Nino Rodriguez and one I did on my own. And I'm thinking they shot me with something because I felt like I was being shot with something. Now, I don't know that. I don't know. It wasn't food, I didn't have a headache. I wasn't sick. I had none of that. All I did was sleep for 2 days. So there was nothing wrong with me other than all I had to do was sleep. I couldn't do anything else. I did go to the dentist a couple times, like in the last few weeks. I thought, well, maybe that built up or something like that. But it just hit me all of a sudden, and I woke up on the, whatever morning that was, and I just wanted to sleep the whole day, and that's kind of what I did. And I always have to walk my dog, so I have no choice on that. But, then I just came home and went to sleep again. Anyway, so I've just been sleeping for 2 days. And I don't know what the world's been doing during that time, really. But so that's kind of interesting. And I know there was a lunar eclipse. I think it's a lunar eclipse during this time when I had this. I don't know if other people were affected by it that way. And then I also heard that there was Mercury's retrograde on top of that. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's plenty right there. So that can affect stuff. So I don't know, where all that's at, other than I know that I did disclose some stuff, and maybe certain parties out there, they shot something at me. And I do protective stuff. I do this whole thing, but I'm very, I don't know what you want to call that, electromagnetic. My body is like a radar or something. And it was in the middle of the night, and something came at me that was electromagnetic, and it was really awful. That's all I can tell you. And it didn't last very long, but it seemed kind of long, when somebody's torturing you, whatever it is, this horrible, it's kind of like, I don't know, hand on a chalkboard kind of feeling, but it was electronic. It was it hits my feet, and, then kind of like the rest of my body or whatever, but it was really like stepping into maybe a microwave oven, but a really intense one. Like, they do that shit to me on and off, okay? And believe me, I'm aware of it. But usually I can ward it off. I have ways of dealing. I have a whole system. But that was nasty, okay? That was like, I'm sure that was like some kind of warning or bullshit. That's the only thing I can assume happened to me, because I don't sleep for 2 days. That's not my normal. I like to sleep, but I don't sleep for 2 days. And, I couldn't even do work or anything, pretty much. So not to belabor that, just wanted to throw that out because you had mentioned,
I was actually sleeping for 2 days also, but I wasn't sick. I wasn't throwing up or anything like last time.
Maybe it's the solar eclipse or whatever the hell, or lunar eclipse. I don't know, but I even thought, well, did I eat some food that was poisoned? But it didn't. Again, I wasn't sick to my stomach. I even could eat. I didn't want to eat a lot. I didn't eat a lot. I just had, like a little bit of soup and a little, how you do when you're just sleeping anyway. But strange. So yeah, now all I want to say here is that I have so much work and so much stuff coming at me right now. And I don't know where this is all headed, but I have been putting, because I was sort of sleeping in and out of sleep the last 2 days. And you're talking like all day, night. Haven't done that in a long time. And so I had a lot of time to think. And I've been putting this puzzle together in my head. So watch out. I'm going to come up with some more stuff. I haven't released it, what came to me in the last 2 days, but I'm going to put it out there in some form, or attempt to, because, I'm kind of a big picture thinker, and I like to connect all the dots. I'm a real connector. Like, I like to follow the clues. I love mysteries. It just, that motivates my life in a huge way. If I have a new mystery, I'm really jazzed. So this is a mystery. It's not a very nice one, but it's a mystery. And I've been following it in many ways for many years, but I had some puzzle pieces that came along in the last, and then doing the thing I did on those 2 videos, if anyone wants to watch them. And then that kind of opened the door to these next steps, and we'll see where it all goes, but just throwing that out. So I do want to introduce this topic of the UFOs. Oh, and I want to say, this is a little business here, but I didn't go live yet because I guess I didn't remember to, because we're going to have Laura join us. So now if you want to go live, I can go live, or we can stay just recording it. Do you want to go live?
Go live, sure.
All right. So stand by while we do that, because I apologize for that. I just, my head.
No, I'm fine with
I forgot too myself.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't realize, but
yeah. And I like to be live. It's just one of those things I like. It's gets my motor running. So
that's fine. I know it's a preference thing. I'm good. I could be flexible.
Yeah, I know some people don't like to do that. I really love it. I kind of eat it up because I love the audience. I love the sense of the audience that I have. It
Yeah.
always jazzes me up. So,
Mm.
okay, we're live on Facebook, and I'm Kerry Cassidy. I'm here with our group of patriots, and we're doing a roundtable. However, today we were hoping that Laura Eisenhower could join us. She's got a family matter. She may join us at a late, partway through the
I'm checking in
video.
real quick.
Sorry?
I'm checking in with her real quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so we just started sort of preliminary discussion that will be part of the recording when we're done with the whole thing. I'll put it all together, but so since we've just gone live, if you want to kind of say any introductory comments, we could do that. And then I said I wanted to talk about the UFO House Intelligence Committee meeting, and they haven't done it for 50 years. It's supposed to be open. I don't know if it's over already. I'm watching a tiny bit of it that's been recorded, which is not hard to find on YouTube, by the way. But I don't know if they ended it or if they achieved anything. And I don't know if it continues for a few days or is just a one-day thing. So if anyone wants to text us, I'm going to open the comments here below the show. And so you could put a comment in there if you happen to be watching this live. I have not posted this, so it's just going to be random people. People do tend to find my shows even when I go, however I go live, because I didn't broadcast this or advertise it in advance. So we've got Jen Eason and Dr. Sharnael Sihan. And so you want to go ahead, Jen, and just kind of introductory remarks. And if you want to say something about the UFO thing, fine. If not, that's fine too.
Okay. Well, I want to say hello to everybody. We were hanging out, and now we're live. I opened up with just, introducing myself in terms of who I am. I'm a nurse in exile, and right now I'm enjoying researching. So I'm a student, scholar, researcher, and lately what my research has been leading me to look into are issues of history, timeline, the 1800s, and why I look at the 1800s as, like, I call it a person of interest. So something happened with the 1800s. It's fascinating. I welcome theories, and I love to, look into these things. So right now I am interested in the polar Arctic Circle, polar whatever, Antarctica, North Pole, South Pole, inner Earth, Agartha, all of that. Okay. So yeah, so right now I'm interested in learning about the polar circle and what the indigenous people of that area, what their mythology is. That's how I look at things. I want to know, what is their mythology? What is their account of a flood record? Because most civilizations have some flood record. And then I like to look at their architecture and the 1800s. So that starts me on a whole lot of exciting little journeys, but I'm just happy to be here. It's so exciting, and thank you.
Okay, very cool. I'll send you a few little nuggets that, I always like to, if I come across, because I might have a couple little things to send you, Jen.
Oh, thank you.
Gary's always got something to say. I love it.
I love it too. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
So, Sharnael?
I am a naturopathic doctor, conference speaker, author of 5 books, contactee, truther, patriot, podcast person. Used to be on TV. Now I'm on everything online, been censored a bunch, like everybody. And as far as your question about what was going on today and the thing that you sent about what was being disclosed, I didn't get a chance to look at it. It is a little bit interesting that they're coming up. I mean, I wonder why now, after all this time, and especially because I've had Dan Willis and a lot of other people who actually went to DC and did all of this a long time ago, and then like crickets, right? So is this like a distraction? Is this is this to take our focus somewhere else while they're like doing this sleight of hand somewhere else? Or is it just to give us a little breadcrumb so everyone gets all whatever? Because is the Johnny Depp thing over? I don't know. I mean, maybe people stopped watching that and they need something else like to distract them. But yeah, I'm right now I've actually, the Johnny Depp thing has opened up some other things having to do with all of some other disclosure stuff too. So, but not I really think all this is a circus, what's happening. I'm not talking about that part. I'm just talking about, it has brought up and reminded me how he was a part of the River Phoenix situation.
Oh,
There when it happened, it was his club. His ties to some terrible things, and just a lot of stuff like that. I mean, there's things about the whole River Phoenix thing that he was it was a satanic ritual for October 31st, and Johnny, there's a lot of speculation about things that he was part of and or still is a part of. Think about who he hangs out with, Marilyn Manson and all these guys. And I think it's interesting how people, they want to give you this tilt of like feeling sorry for the guy, and look, Amber isn't any better for sure. But again, this is a ginormous like acting. This is acting. The whole thing is acting. And just to get like this focus over here while they're doing whatever over here, God knows what right now, but I'm sure it'll be revealed later, like, oh, while you guys were watching that, this is what we were really doing. So, but interesting topic. But what do you think, Kerry? Because how much did you watch, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, not the Johnny Depp thing, I hope.
Yeah, no. I mean, about the email, the video you sent today about all the disclosure. I'm curious.
I did get to watch a little bit of it before I started my shows today. And, I'm in a very weird place with everything right now because, I've been digging into everything so deeply, going down the rabbit hole, as it's said, for, as I've said many times, 17 years now. And before that, I was, just my life has been that way. I mean, I've never been a normal person in any way, shape, or form. And I was born at, on a military base, on Moffett Field, which is a whole story in itself. So, and I was always in touch with other worlds and aware of other worlds, and very, I don't know. I just, I always had strong, I guess you might say, kind of like opinions, I've never been one to force my opinions on others. That wasn't the deal, but I had my own, if you asked me, I had an opinion, okay, whatever it was. But I used to be quite quiet about it. And then I got more vocal, as I grew up. And eventually I became an actress. I did that for a little while, became a director. And I was a journalist in college. So that kind of package. And then I worked in the movie industry. And eventually, I came to Camelot. So it was that sort of trajectory that brought me to where I am right now. And I see my life as like a miracle, like one miracle after another. I just happen to see my life that way. I don't know if everyone sees their life that way. I know that I've been in dire straits that I've been rescued from, and many times, when I was younger. There was one thing, I was good at a lot of things when I was young. I was really good at sports, and I was really, spiritual and otherworldly and all this kind of stuff. But the one thing I never could make sense out of was actually basic things like making a living and paying the rent. So consequently, people would say, oh, doesn't this scare you? Or doesn't that scare you? Actually, the only thing that ever scared me was not being able to pay my rent. It's those kind of practical things that really swayed me, really, freaked me out, if you will. So I kind of got over that eventually, but not until I really grew out of my 20s into my 30s and maybe even more than that. So what am I doing? What am I saying? You asked me my UFO thing. The reason, okay, so if you understand where I've come from, going into this field and delving into the whole UFO, I'm always disappointed. Okay, I guess that's what I was trying to say. Mm-hmm. No one wants to talk about the stuff I want to talk about. Even when I talk about it, no one wants to go as deep as me. I mean, I know maybe it sounds like, I don't know, egotistical, or it's not though, but I'm just saying, I have guests on my show and I want to go deeper and deeper, even with them. And a lot of times they don't want to go deeper. And so, I've had this sort of weird love-hate relationship with anybody who thinks they're going to go and, I know things about this. Like I know that Mark McCandlish wanted to testify that they were really supposed to do this UFO investigation with the House Intelligence Committee. It was actually scheduled for June. And this guy, I think his name might've been Rubio, Marco Rubio or something like that, congressman, was jump-starting it back then. And this was, again, a year ago in May and June. It was actually supposed to happen in June. And in April, Mark McCandlish volunteered to speak before the House Intelligence Committee on the subject. And he was a very famous UFO designer of the ARV, designed all kinds of craft and all kinds of, just really kind of brilliant and very gifted guy. And a lot of people know who he is. And I did, there was an investigation of his death because they killed him. Mm-hmm. So the idea here is that they killed him because he wanted to testify as to what he really knew. We it's still a mystery. People don't know. Some people don't think, but he was supposedly shot himself with a shotgun, which is not easy to do because it's big. If you're going to shoot yourself, you would. And he was a military guy, so he wouldn't use a shotgun to shoot his own self. Mm-hmm. There's just so many, and it's not a very happy subject, but that's the background before what they're doing right now. So this thing they announced was 1 week ago. They announced out of the blue, suddenly they're going to do this on the 17th. And on the 22nd, as everyone knows, this, New World Order, world government is going to vote on this medical tyranny of trying to tell other countries what they can do and whether they can be sovereign in the face of a medical, anything they want to call, even COVID, they called it a pandemic. It never was. So this is just insanity to me, just gross, incredible insanity. But this is what we're faced with. So that's the stage, or the context in which this UFO, suddenly they're now going to investigate UFOs. It just seems, it seems like the alien card. I did write articles and did a show about this already. So it seems like it was always said, this kind of, maybe people don't know, it goes back to Werner von Braun saying to Carol, forget her last name, who was worked with him as he was on his deathbed or whatever. He said, the last card they're going to pull is when they have no more enemies, to fight among ourselves here on Earth, they'll pull the alien card and they'll say, we have enemies off planet, which we do, as it turns out. But of course, there are certain people like Stephen Greer and others who don't want to acknowledge that. And so humans are prey, our children are prey. They're prey to other humans, but they're also prey to ETs, visiting on and off, invading, etc. And that's a huge story. And that's what I primarily investigate among everything else. So this whole medical tyranny setting and trying to invade, in essence, if you take away our sovereignty through another fake pandemic, that will look quasi-real or whatever, have enough people die of something, whatever the hell, that they think they can come and invade. We will have to have UN troops at the gates if that's going to happen. So I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, I don't know what their vote's going to do on the 22nd. I just think it's so insulting, really, to the peoples of the world that these people would actually think they can have a vote about such a thing as that would determine our future. How dare they? I mean, how dare they, really? I mean, thank God I was hearing some statistic about, do you know that we have, I don't know, like 400 guns for every human in the United States? I mean, we are really armed to the teeth, and thank God, okay? Because I don't think these people are going to take the chance. And I also wonder, what the hell are the white hats and Trump going to do in the meanwhile when these people are voting to take away our sovereignty? And I'm not going to stand for any excuses this time. Like, this is not going to fly. So how it's going to roll out, what kind of craziness is going to come as a result. They already did have a meeting in Dubai. I guess you guys know about Klaus Schwab and these other people announcing that here's our world government and now we're in session. It's like a lot of people are like so behind the 8 ball, they don't realize that, hello, these people think they already are a world government. They don't think we're working towards it. They don't think, oh, the New World Order is going to try to make a new, they're making it. It's done. They said they're going to, roll out a digital currency. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. That was just their first meeting, or at least the public one, right? Because of course they've been meeting forever since then,
Right.
Davos, you name it. Mm-hmm. So don't get me started. That's an answer to your question. That how, that's, what this is about. And so these people are winding back the clock, and these senators, and at least they're talking about it. Yes, that's very nice. I feel like I'm dealing with kindergarten class out there. And, I already graduated with several degrees and God knows what. And, I'm having to just sit here and see these people go back 70 years and reinvent the wheel as if it never happened, as if Roswell never happened, as if Antarctica never happened, as if Project Paperclip never happened, as if, and to say nothing about all my witnesses of 17 years. So, yeah, to me, I'm living in like a world of absurdity, of people who cannot get a grip of even, and I'm talking, this is why I have the chutzpah to, say, question 107, question Trump, question the AI, I think that's our job. I think we should be questioning everything, all of us. And I can't believe sort of the lack of questions and the willingness to just go along and get along and tolerate nonsense. So I guess I'm enough of my soapbox. So don't ask me another question like that because you would be sorry. But anyway, so Jen, what do you have to say about everything?
Well, I like your points that you're making, because I think that we all feel that. That's why this is it's a unifying movement of humanity, is because we have so many points of common interests. So what you said, I lament these same things because, okay, for instance, I used to live out there in that area of California. I was a part of, it's called Calvary Chapel. We're the Christians that have like Starbucks in the lobby. We're the pretty, the pretty Christians, the California kind of surfer Christians. So that was like the whole Calvary Chapel thing. And, you never want to be too negative because you want to look cheerful all the time. So it's this saccharine kind of like, well, hello, I'm blessed and highly favored. Hi, sister. And it's kind of like, can we just talk about some like dark stuff sometimes, please? Like, you know, and I don't mean dark that I love darkness. It's that they consider anything that's controversial dark, okay? And it's easy to do that and shut down the people. I called me and the other kind of Christians, like, we're the Bible nerds, okay? So we're the Christian nerds, if you can imagine, or the Christian tinfoil hat people, because we read like the book of Ezekiel, and we want to delve into the book of Enoch. Do you realize there's a whole like segment of Christianity that like they go cuckoo when you talk about these kind of things? So you're always, you want to just go deep, but you learn to stay surface, because if you go deep, like, you're going to be put in an insane asylum if you keep talking, right? Because that's what happens if you keep talking. You're going to cause problems for yourself. So you learn to, I hate to say it, but you learn to, they call it code switching. Okay. Have you ever heard the term? It's used in the Black community a lot. You know, they say, you know, you can talk, like, you can go to the hood and talk to the Black people and have your own talk, and then you could be around white people. Oh, hello, hi, hello. And they call it code switching. And it's like, but everybody code switches. We all have, like, we edit ourselves, and we hate that we have to do it. But if you don't have anybody to talk to, or if they're not willing to go out on a limb and be persecuted, because all kinds of things are considered persecution. I mean, even being depersoned on social media is a form of persecution. So some people are not willing to endure any discomfort to be the person who says, no, this isn't right. Let's question this. Let's talk about this. They're not willing to give up comforts, or they don't want to see anybody look at them with a side eye. They want to stay, like you said, it's called the go along to get along crowd. And that's what we all deal with. It doesn't matter what circle you get disillusioned. Even if you're a feminist, I bet I could talk to a feminist who's on the far left side of feminism. It's somebody who believes in it, like they're sold out to it. And then they have all the other people who are just like, they just phone it in every weekend. You know, you see what I'm saying? It's always somebody who goes harder for something. And you're going to get spent, fatigued. You're the one that everybody, when you're making the plan to go out on the field for battle, they're like, yes, let's go, Kerry. And you're like, come on, let's march. And then you look around and you're like, where's everybody? You're the only one on the battlefield. Do you feel that sometimes? You're the only one. Or if, look, I've dealt with people who are so cowardly that even at a job, when you have a tyrant who is making everyone's life a living hell and everybody's complaining about it, and I'm like, can we do something about it? Can we all get together? Can we all walk to HR as a whole group? And they're like, yes, let's do it. Let's write letters. Can we all write letters? Guess what? They'll say, I'll write the letters. Okay, I'll collect the letters if you want me to help you edit it, whatever. And then guess what? It's time to turn the letters in. Guess what they want to do? Wait for it. Hey, Jennifer, it's always a song and dance. You know what? I don't have the letter. I'm going to give it to you next Friday. Or whoever else gives it to you. Guess what? I wrote a letter, but I didn't want to sign my name. I wanted it to be anonymous. Can you imagine? I've dealt with people like that in nursing. I'd rather give you a letter anonymous. Do you know when that actually happened, I said, no, thank you. I will not take your anonymous letter to HR.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's cowardice. It's the desire to always be comfortable and have your creature. I don't want to give up my whatever, right. my membership in the cool kid group. Well, I've never been in the cool kid group. Okay. I've always been the oddball. So it's no love lost. Okay. If I can't sit at the table with the cool kids. Okay. So I don't stay on the script. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's given a script. I said this the other day. You're born, you know, here's your script, Kerry. You're supposed to be the doctor. Here you are, Sharnael. You're supposed to be the Indian chief, and you're supposed to be the baker and the candlestick maker. And then you decide, nope, give me yours, Kerry. No, I want to switch. And then it's like, you're not reading from the script. You see?
Yeah.
And we're the people who don't read from the script. That is,
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing, though.
it is. I mean, but it's not many who are willing to do it.
We're the ones who change history, though.
I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
It's always, if you read about the people that change history, it's always those types. So, you know.
Can I say something? I want to add on to that
Go right
because
ahead.
I've actually just this week had a couple people who, you know, they'll talk side talk, like what, you know, what Jen was saying. And then they'll like go, wow, I wish I could get up and talk about some of the stuff that happened to me, or I wish I could stand up and say some of those things or whatever. I was like, you can. And they're like, oh yeah, no, but, and I'm like, no, really, you can.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? That, like, why do they think they can't? But then again, I meet other people who, because I said something public, they'll come on in the comments at least and say, me too, or I went through that, or blah, blah, blah. So maybe not to the
Well,
level.
I hope that that's one of the things we do, is make it okay to do that very thing, to start speaking out in these kinds of ways, you know? Yeah. Do you have more things, Sharnael, you want to say about this?
Oh, well, I want to let Jen finish if she had anything. I just wanted.
Oh, all right. Jen, did you want to say some more?
I hear what you're saying, even though I'm not in this is what I'm saying, how common it is. I'm not in the UFO community, like you're saying, but I can remember hearing certain things. And then when I put together the pieces of the puzzle, guess what? It's every community. I used to be a part of the pro-life community, right? Oh, what happens in that community? Oh, it splits because two of the leaders want to become famous. Can you imagine? And then you're like, I thought we were fighting for babies.
Wow.
No, we're not. We're fighting because somebody has an agenda to become famous, and they have other side agendas. So then you realize, just take it, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It happens with so many groups and so-called communities.
Okay.
And then what happens is the people who were really dyed in the wool, real, they're like frustrated. They're like, what the hell is this? What it is people, they have lost the sense of integrity. We have an integrity problem. And that's why, you know, I'm at a point now. We talk about, we want all this good stuff to happen for our nation and world, but you know what? We got an integrity problem within human nature, and nobody seems to want to cover that part. How are we going to change this stuff and the other stuff where we don't have these egos that I want to be seen and heard, and I want my kudos, and I want an award, I want a medal, I want honor. How about you just want to do it because it's the thing to do? We're all in a damn toilet right now.
Right.
Can somebody put, like, where's the tidy ball guy? We need rescuing, all of us. Some people want to party in the toilet. It's like, no, it doesn't matter which part of the toilet you're in. We're all in a toilet. Because we have an integrity issue. Some people don't want to deal with morality. They don't want to deal with absolutes. They want to stay in the gray. And that's why we're where we are, because we got a lot of many little dictators and all kinds of narcissistic, and we feed them with this sick culture, and it makes them worse and more inflamed. And that's what I'm seeing in every little community and group. It's a heart issue. And you could call it whatever you want to call it. But until that gets dealt with, none of this stuff, these little groups will not stay cohesive, because you got a problem. And it's the thing that nobody wants to deal with. It's the elephant in the room. We all want to think everybody will just be good. We're on an honor system, huh? Oh, really? This is why America is a shithole right now. Every city, and I said it.
Well,
it's a shithole. You go to Chicago, you go to New York, what are they? And then how are we going to clean that up?
I think this was demonstrated in 2,000 Mules. I mean, to be honest, I mean, we saw people just doing the most nefarious things, right? Mm-hmm. With the vote. I mean, and the thing that worries me is not only what you're saying, Jen, but also the fact that it's, in a sense, it's a crisis with authenticity, okay? Of doing and saying in alignment, okay? So do not tell me that we only lost the vote because of the mules, when we know damn well, it's been admitted over and over again, that there was a safe house in Germany.
Yep.
Where Gina Haskell, the head of the CIA, was there. There was a shootout over the Dominion servers, and there was a Vatican satellite that helped the Chinese to steal the vote. In other words, those things have now just been swept under the rug by the white hats. Nobody's talking about it. I think I am the only one that I can think of that's talking about this, and I don't understand it. And to me, that's inauthentic. Okay, we know these things to be real, and people like to pretend that, okay, so follow the leader because they've been told, don't look at that you're not supposed to look at something and you're not supposed to talk about it. And I mean, it's not just CNN or just, ABC, MSNBC, so-and-so. Even in the alternative, I see that there is a kind of like copycat syndrome, and like, don't look at something because you've been told not to. And in this MAGA movement, just follow along, trust the plan, shut the fuck up and go sit down, sorry, I'm not doing that. I don't care who it is. I wouldn't even do that for God, himself. I mean, that is not why I'm here. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. So don't even think you're going to ask me to do that. But everyone else is scared shitless. It's a go along, get along, shut the fuck up society. And the masks were a perfect indication that people fell so in love with those things that some of them are still wearing them now. And just, again, blows my mind. It's like the world, it probably always was an insane asylum, but now it's like obvious, right? Yeah. It's in your face, obvious. Well, when I say this and this and this, there's a through line, and these people just, they look at me blankly. They say nothing. What's their response? Nothing. They have nothing to say because they're scared. They're scared. So fear is real high on that list as well. I can sympathize with that. People have things to, they could lose, but, it could be the best thing that ever happened to them. Sorry to say. I mean, you never know.
Well, and I wonder, because some of it is just so obvious. It's like, how much of this is mind control? Number one. And you may want to share about the guy that you were talking to earlier, but I mean, how many patents are there on mind control since like 40, 50s, and so on. So maybe they just literally are so susceptible to whatever the energies are that they literally cannot think for themselves. That's one thing. Another thing is, this example, we brought in Dr. Malone and Robert Kennedy to Louisiana, where I'm currently living sometimes. And because we were having issues with all of the stuff and trying to pass some bills to make it happen, and to make people to be able to have their choices, and especially kids. And we there was a 103-page bill that was sent to me to look over, and we even talked to the governor of Florida and Texas and made sure language was right, and did, like, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not legal, I don't know, I did what I could and brought in people and did my part to make sure people showed up. And because we weren't having the votes, we were not having the votes, it was not good, and we had already voted on other things that were completely not working. But when these guys came in, they presented all this information, really great information, and then there was a vote, and we won. I say we, the people who wanted sovereignty and freedom. We actually got even the people who were against it before were okay, were like woke up, and something triggered, and they were like, okay, you know what? And I want to say it was like 2 people who didn't turn, but other people did. And then that the governor looked at that and basically decided, nah, I'm going to veto this whole thing. I'm not good with your voting or your representation, which is very defeating. So much energy was put into that. We brought in testimonies for people from all over the state who had injuries, who waited 3 and 4 days to be heard. They were never seen, they were never heard, they missed work, they sat in hotels, they were not allowed to speak. They were willing. And then the votes even showed that people who were unwilling became willing to allow people to have a choice. But then one guy comes along and says, you know what, I know all of you were voted in to represent people, therefore this person, all the voters who are the state reps are supposed to represent a whole area of people, and they're speaking for the people, right? And they come in and vote to represent, and then this governor who was voted in is supposed to look at numbers and go, look, this, okay, obviously the people have spoken, and let's just go for it. And then he has the gall to go, no, I'm not going to represent you. I'm not going to look at this number situation and see that it's obvious that everyone wants this. I'm going to do something different. So there's that, where even when the people do speak up, and the doctors who have spoken up, and the politicians who have spoken up, there are good ones, and just the everyday, look at January 6th, look at those people who've spoken up. Half of them are still in jail. Right. A 17-year-old girl that I know is still in jail, and the legal fees, that they've had to deal with. Their parents, these people aren't wealthy, and tons of people, in isolation for basically going to the Capitol with their baby stroller and wandering around outside, but because they had something on their hotel bill that showed that they got an Airbnb during that time, and now they're brought in for questioning, and all the stories.
I know a woman who that happened to. She was there, doing.
So there are people who completely won't stand up, right, and are afraid, and or just want to be comfortable and like, let's not rock the boat. Someone will fix it. Trump will come, the white hats are in control, all this stuff, which again, I don't personally believe that anyone's going to save us. That you guys may disagree. I believe we're supposed to be the ones, and I don't know how that's going to happen.
The people are acting, and I agree with you, but I have to say, nothing's happening. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe no one wants to hear that. Okay. But just what your story, that means that the cabal is still in charge.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's like all these
no,
people,
I'm not going to do it.
All these people who are willing to stand up, take their time, take their energy, hours and hours and hours and weeks and weeks and weeks to fight and stand in front of the Capitol and be there at the sessions. you know, I know politicians who were on the phone with me at 3 a.m. for weeks, combing through and asking questions, and you know, on live chats and on all this stuff, and rallying at multiple places to make sure people were all there. There was so much.
You know, that is inspiring. I do want to say that. I mean, you know, Dinesh is inspiring. What he did, I may think that 2,000 Mules is not, it's only the beginning of the story. It's not the whole story, okay? So I'm pushing for the rest of the story, but I still honor him, and
Yeah.
I'm so in awe
Well, and the
of
pillow
the
guy.
wonderful people that are out there doing things. I mean, there is tons to be, you know, inspired by the people that are putting themselves on the line, which we three are also, and Laura. I mean, you know, I'm inspired by my fellow humans that have, you know, laid it on the line, man, and the truckers, and, you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
And what changed?
incredible, and the military behind the scenes that we don't even get to really talk to, but they're out there. I know they're doing stuff. You know, there is stuff happening. I would not say there's nothing happening in that way, but I think we're getting to, like, I don't know if it's the end of our rope. I'm worried about the zombie apocalypse more than I ever did before. No, really, because in the past I would have laughed at that, said no way, right? But now I'm like, wow, we could really be close to something like this, because the people out there that, you know, this is the other side of that story that I encounter, they, you know, I don't even go near having an argument with my neighbors or people like that, because these people, I think they are just completely psycho, and they would just as easily turn, you know, batshit zombie on me. You know, I mean, you wouldn't, you know, I have a dog that she obeys me. She's absolutely phenomenal, and she loves children and is the sweetest, kindest dog ever, and never, you know, doesn't even know how to fight, let alone, you know, but she is a big German Shepherd kind of looking dog, although not quite as big as that. I have people yelling at me when they see her off a leash and just going fucking postal. Okay. I mean, I've had people threaten me, and the freedom of an animal running free, not going near them, just a loving, you know, the world, and just, she needs to be free, you know, they don't want to see it. They do not want to see other little beings. They don't want to see freedom, you know, that they find that the biggest threat to their sort of little constructed reality. And I even think to myself, you know, what happens when, let's say we have an EBS, you know, let's say that we actually get something like that. The people that I've come across, I don't know about you guys, you know, I don't know other people. I've come across people that it doesn't matter what you say. They don't want to hear it. Yeah. They just don't. I know that they think they've got 80, you know, they're getting near 80%. I would say, no fucking way is that true. I don't believe those polls, because everywhere I go, no one wants to even go near these subjects. They don't even want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now, I know there's pockets of good people that want to know, and we see them online every day, you know, but what are you going to do with those people? They just don't want to know. Right. And that is the most, I don't know, it's sort of like, in some ways, the most surprising part of humanity that perhaps I never anticipated, you know, because I mean, I went through even college and thinking, raw revolution, and, you know, change the world, and this is, everyone wants to do this, and why wouldn't you? And, you know, that's just like you were saying, Jen, that's not what they want. They don't want to change the world. They want to, again, go along, get along. I mean, and I know this because of family members and ex-boyfriends, and, you know, these people have said to my face, I mean, you know, and these are not stupid people, contrary to what everyone wants to think. They're actually not stupid people. But for some reason, this, whether it's the mind control, it could be like a number of, could be trauma, could be all kind of things, but
I going back, and I'm gonna have to get off in a minute. I know Jen wants to talk too, but I think the zombie thing is already here in some ways, honestly. And we discussed your piece that you helped me with this weekend. I was like looking at I had got this intuition to watch this show called Lars and the Real Girl with Ryan Gosling. It's about him carrying around this mannequin, and I kept thinking about, and I was watching it because of Project Mannequin, and I was asking Kerry about Project Mannequin or Mannequin Project, and interestingly, she told me, I said, where can I look some more? And she said, look up Donald Marshall, watch The Dollhouse. And then you went into explaining how they have this AI situation where they're trying to do, the black goo and all the stuff to get people very obedient and to listen and whatever. So I don't know if I told you this, but after I got off the phone with you, I looked up Ryan Gosling on purpose because of the whole Max Spears situation. But I got another piece. So he started a band in 2008, which is also coincidentally when Max got his memories back. And the band was actually started by Disney. It's only a 2-person band with Disney's help, and also a guy named Flea and Chad somebody who are from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, Flea, yeah.
Who, if you look at Chad next to Will Ferrell, they are identical. And I didn't even know this until last week, but I was like watching American Idol, and this girl came on and said Flea was her dad, and Chad was her dad, and my husband said, well, you mean AKA Will Ferrell? And I was like, what are you talking about? And so he brings up these pictures, and I was like, holy crap, those are clones for sure. And so it got me on this whole rabbit trail. But when I look up Ryan Gosling, starts in 2008, right? Do you know, and Jen will really get this because of our background. The name of his band, Jen, is called Dead Man's Bones.
Really?
Now, what do you think? Because when I think Dead Man's Bones, my mind goes to Ezekiel. And Ezekiel 37, it basically says to speak to the bones, to come back alive. And then there was tendons and different things put back to the bones. And then he said, now command breath from the 4 winds to go back into these bones in this valley of bones. And the guy blew breath, Ezekiel, who is also about the Merkaba and the UFO, because that's in the Bible, blow into these bones. And then he blew into the bones, and there came a vast army of men who are for an army, which she had just told me they're trying to make a vast army to fight the ETs, right? So even further, I look up and see that one of their names of the song is Heart of a Werewolf, which the whole wolf pack thing with the Delta Force and all the super soldier stuff. But also another one is called My Body is a Zombie for You.
Oh, wow.
And they use a children's choir in the background from Flea and Chad to use these really inappropriate lyrics. That one of the lyric is like lambs to the slaughter.
Oh no. Wow.
So I was like, okay, 2008, Max had his bleed through. And if truly Ryan is a clone, maybe he's having some consciousness come through that he doesn't understand. So I looked up, why did they call it Dead Man's Bones, the album? And they said it was because his love for the paranormal. And so it's like, interesting that he would be interested in all these subjects like zombies, like I'm a zombie, my body is a zombie for you. And then like, is it Max actually says that he is a clone? So whose consciousness does he have? I don't know, but is he a zombie? Are some of these people who aren't whatever zombies? And then if they're not clones or zombies, there's just that whole idea of the MK Ultra that is actually steering everyone's direction, and to kind of zombie-like ideas of like, just okay, yes, I'm gonna go to the store and wear my 515 masks and my shoulder thing and my gloves, and because it's like they don't know how to do anything else. Like, can they not think for themselves? Like, that's been my biggest thing, is like, think for yourself. But I know Jen and both of y'all probably have lots of stuff, and I just have a few more minutes before I got another one. But speaking of that,
that's powerful. Like, I am like,
I have a lot more, but
I know, I'm sure you do. But what's deep is I was just on a live stream with Girl Code, and she had brought to my attention this this phenomenon that was born on TikTok of a man in Spain who, he doesn't show his face, but he says that he's trapped in the year 2027. Had you heard about him?
yeah.
Okay, so I basically found out that it is a media mogul. He's out of Spain, out of what part of Spain? I think Valencia. And he has been in media, international media, for over 30 years. Like, you know, he's worked in some pretty heavy duty, you know, like he worked for Fremantle. He was their internet, just to give you an idea. He's worked for Mundo, and he has a company called Beta, which is interesting. Beta, you think of beta testing, beta experimentals. So he is basically going around the city, and he goes to other cities because people are, you know, engaging with him on TikTok. They're like, oh, go to Madrid, go to Barcelona. And he will go to these places. Oh, go to the big BMW dealership. And he goes, and I mean, nobody is around. He's filming as POV, and there's no body, and it doesn't look cheesy like, you know, that earlier virtual reality stuff. It looks like
the point if there's nobody there. I don't get it.
Like, something happened.
He woke up. The narrative is this, and I want Kerry, if you have time to get onto this, because Kerry, this is one. Really, this has been. It's in the TikTok arena, which I know a lot because I wasn't, you know, plugged in. My daughter kept asking me, you got to get on TikTok. So I finally did it. But it was Girl Code that brought this to my attention. She was talking to me, and, you know, I spent some time with it. And then I found this guy. His name is Javier. But what it is his point of view is he woke up after a coma. And when he was in the hospital. So he wakes up, imagine this, he wakes up in the hospital in the year 2027. And this happened in 2021. So there was a direct portal from 2021 into 2027. So when he wakes up from the coma, he's in 2027 and nobody is there but him.
Sounds like a movie. Didn't this happen in a movie?
Probably, you know, it's probably like some old sci-fi. It doesn't sound like.
I mean, it sounds a little like a ripoff of John Titor. You know, John.
Yeah,
Titor,
yeah. People were mentioning him,
but he wasn't actually saying when he went places no one was there, but he was saying that he was traveling. You know, time traveler and all that.
Okay. Well, this guy showing it from his cell phone. That's what's unique about these days that we're in. And it goes to what you're saying, because, you know, I have studied some of those things. Like, you know, when you mentioned the black goo, I think of, you know, H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu. And, you know, I think about it on the spiritual or supernatural level as well. And, you know, my filter is to see it through the biblical filter, and that's how I understand it. So I look at it as spiritual stuff, which is, I mean, again, it's no, you know, we really don't have to argue about that kind of stuff. And that's why I love that we can all engage, because you may call it that, but then I see it through the filter of the Bible, and it all makes sense what you're saying. Because I believe, yes, there's an active demonic realm, whatever you want to call it, but they're very intelligent. They would have ancient knowledge. You all talk about things in terms of transhumanism, tampering with DNA. That goes right back to the Tower of Babel.
I
And
know.
that's the
Well,
thing is,
I mean,
it's like,
I
that's
know,
what they've been trying to do from day one, is
I
like
know,
they
but let me
don't.
say one thing just now, just because
Mhm.
I want to get this off my chest really quickly about this.
Mhm.
I have read the Bible. Okay. I understand people's preoccupation with it to some degree. It's not my thing, but I can say that, these four horsemen of the apocalypse, they're doing them. Okay.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
doing them. And so we are now on famine. That's their next horse.
There you
Okay.
go.
And then
that's
they're going to get death. But people go, oh, it's happening. But they don't realize is they're creating it. They were told a lot of people, they don't get it.
Mhm.
I mean, we had, Leo Zagami a long time ago. He was a part of the P2 Lodge and, the Black Magic and follows the Black Pope and all this kind of stuff. The Illuminati who are trying to run this world use the Bible as a playbook. It's not that the Bible's true, it's that they'll make it true. Okay, that's what they'll do. So now they're working on it. They work really hard. It's like creating a play so that everyone can act in it. That's what they're doing. And everyone knows, I mean, all you have to do is look at the keys to the famine. They're doing it. They're doing it right in front of your face. They're having fires in all the processing plants. They're stopping the ships. They're doing everything. It's all purposeful because they have to have that. And this is the thing with the white hats as well. So if you are in a play, and let's say that this, what do you want to call it? A matrix, a hologram. If there's a book that the matrix is supposed to follow, it's like a script. I worked in Hollywood. It's a script. So the Illuminati have a script. This is what it says happens next. They have to go make it happen. And that's how they do it. And so it's part of the narrative, if you will. And so unfortunately, you got to understand how this may affect these people that are supposed to be brave and doing wonderful, brave things, but they know that the Bible says to do this. And all these people want to follow that because they believe in it, but they want it to happen because otherwise they think that's God. It's not God. God doesn't write books like that, okay? It's a fucking person. I don't care if it's Anunnaki, it's an old man with a beard or whatever. It's not God. He doesn't write. Okay, yes, he writes through the person, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of white men sat around and rewrote the Bible for what it might have been a good book in the beginning. It's totally tilted now, whatever. All I'm telling you is they are now doing this play, and the play requires the famine. And after that, it's going to require death. Then you have to sit here and say, are you not programmed? Are you able to step outside the narrative and say, no, I'm not having it. I don't want famine in my life. I don't want to watch other people have famine. I don't like this storyline. It's not for me. All right. Can we have some freedom of thought here? I mean, this is what we're talking about. So I'm sorry. The people that you think you're fighting are following the exact same playbook that you are. That's it. You all
It was
follow the same
prophesied that it would
playbook.
happen to give a heads up.
If you believe it and you work to make it happen, do you think it's going to happen? Sure as shit's going to happen. Okay. But can we have some humans that say, stop? No, I don't like this version. Let's try a new dream. Let's try a new script. Let's not have this happen. Okay. Because this is not good for us. It's not good for our children, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm not trying to discount, there's some lovely language and such and such and things that maybe inspires your life. But think about that for a minute, that the Illuminati use the Bible as their playbook. Do you know what I mean by that? It means they follow it line by line, word by word, and then they enact it. That's what they do. They've been doing it all along, and they will continue to do it. unless we stop them, okay, and go a different way. So for what it's worth, just, I just want to throw that out, because so now we're at famine. Are you going to be, is that is that your playbook? Is that what you want? You want that for your fellow humans? I don't think so. Okay, I don't. Let's dream a new dream. Let's not go there, okay? This is so old fashioned, so old school, et cetera, et cetera. And this is part of the problem that I see with the white hats. They're all completely devoted Christian, whatever. And they believe the book. And so do the Illuminati. So what do you have? Both sides following the script. One side letting the script happen, the other one making it happen. You see how that works? We have to step outside the cage. It's a fact. And until we do, we're going to be tied to these kinds of scenarios that were thought up millions or hundreds of years ago by a bunch of distorted people that were already part of a takeover scenario. And if it started out as a good thing, you can guarantee it's not one now. Okay, and it's full of lies and misrepresentations.
Well, anything can be prophesied or given a heads up, and then they could turn around and use that against us to actually create it 100%. And also, I agree that this is our time to stand up. We don't have to let it happen, and that we can use our own creative powers to be the ones and not wait for all the saviors to come, and Santa and the Easter Bunny and the white hats and Trump, but actually just like be our own version of taking care of ourselves, growing our own food, being prepared, having medical supplies.
I mean, they look at it also, they've got rationale. So the rationale is, we're going to let this happen because what's going to happen as a result of that is going to be a good thing. And it might be for the people who survive. I guarantee it won't be for the people who don't survive, other than they'll die and go to another life or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, keep it in mind. I just, I don't mean to put a damper on everything, but it's very important. Independent thought, world changers, new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking about things. Understanding the programming on Earth is just so deep. It's so, so deep. And even the people who said they're going to do something good for us are very, very conditioned by it to totally swallow it. I got into a whole discussion about, the Adam Eve story as Juan starts laying it down. A total paternalistic, hate women scenario. Oh, stupid Eve. She went and, was beguiled by the snake and was so stupid, and she ate the apple, okay? What did she do, though? Thank God she ate the fucking apple. I mean, come on, think about it. Otherwise, we'd still be wandering around going, oh, isn't life lovely? Like a bunch of zombies. I mean, there is actually a sci-fi movie in which they depicted this. Like, because people, that's what they want. They think they want that, but they don't. They basically want this lay on the couch, beer drinking, idyllic view of life. That's not idyllic. It's not fun. You don't grow. You don't do fuck all. You just vegetate. That's not a good way. And you come into a 3D reality with polarity, meaning good and evil is real. It's here. Hello. You don't think you should know about it? You prefer to have stayed dumb, deaf, dumb, and blind? But Juan will sit there and use that he says it over and over again. And you're just like, oh, these stupid fucking women. If it wasn't for women, the whole world would be paradise. What kind of fucking misogynist bullshit is that? You got to understand what you're being told. There's secret lies in everything. And you just have to, we started this conversation earlier, Jen, pull it apart. pull the knots out and look at the strands, look at where they lead to.
Well, that's what's so cool about all of us having different perspectives and able to voice our perspectives. Jen, I'd love to hear what you have to say, and then I got to pop off for sure. And oh my God, I love you guys so much.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? I do too. I have a
Yeah,
live.
we've been going for a while. We can
Oh
definitely.
yeah. Okay.
If you want, okay, closing remarks, Jen, go.
Oh yeah. Well, I have found in my journey, and this is my personal testimony, I don't have an issue with patriarchy, matriarchy. I like balance, and I believe in traditional roles for both genders. I feel that it is the way that things work seamlessly and peacefully, Edenically, and I do believe in God. I do believe that he has provided a message, a love letter for his children, and he wouldn't let some evil cabal, he wouldn't let them win where we wouldn't have that communication link. They would not be able to cut the entire link. They can do other things and buffet the message, but the God that is my Father and Abba is so powerful and supreme that he already has the beginning from the end all worked out. So it's all going to be seamlessly a win for God. So these people have to play their final hand, and it is like whatever they know that they're losing, but they're playing a hand of it's futility. So, in terms of them playing out the Bible, they're not supreme, so they can't play out a blueprint that was already written by the supreme, the creator of everything. So he's just letting them have enough rope to hang themselves, but we all have a choice, because unfortunately, this is what has happened. We have gotten so far away from what is true that we're in an age of super levels of deception. So, I know that for me, my anchor and my truth, my true north is the Bible. And it is proven to be true historically. I've studied it for all my life. I'm not just a Bible thumping, like I just want to believe it because everybody did it. I played that game too, but I'm different. I dig. So I've studied it and read it from cover to cover. I have a Jewish stepmother who's taught me Hebrew, and I look at the Paleo Hebrew, the Greek, it all works out. It makes sense. So they're not pushing the hand. They're playing what was already, they made their decision to play on the loser side. So God knew that they were going to do the things they did, because time is not linear. So it's not like it's this, he's looking at the whole parade from the whole, his viewpoint is he sees the beginning and the end. It's all happening at one time, if you want to say it that way. So either way, God wins. So they get that message right. God wins, and whoever's with him wins as well. So that's encouragement for anybody. It's a choice. It's just a simple choice. I call it repatriation, because we all have daddy issues. Some of us have had daddies that hurt us. They weren't there. They didn't take us to the fair. But, that gets in the way of the relationship and seeing God as a patriarchy, because the patriarchy in humanity has been perverted. But that's
Let me just be clear. I have a direct relationship with God, always have since I was born. I don't need a book to come between me and God, okay? And so a bunch of men want to rewrite that book, which they did in the Council of Nicaea is a truth, and you can research that, okay? So that's a fact. They rewrote it. Now, you want to believe what they rewrote and you want to believe God wrote it, that's fine. But be clear, I'm totally at one with God, and I have no issue with that. I know God intimately, and God is always with me, but I don't need a book to tell me what to do or who I am or how to live. but other people do. All right, fine. That's your choice.
I need one. Yeah, that's okay. If I say I need one, that's my own personal thing. So I love it. I see it.
I hear
It's
that.
a blueprint for life. And so that's what I believe. And, I love that we all have a diversity of belief. So yeah, it's wonderful.
So for me, I'm somewhere in between. I love you so much. I come back from, didn't start in ministry or Bible, anything, but I had an encounter at 4 with Jesus, and I believe in Jesus. And when you say God and refer to him as a father, I actually don't think that God has a gender. I think that God is in my cells. And I mean, again, this is all just my personal whatever.
And I believe in Jesus too, by the way.
Yeah. Jesus, I've scanned Jesus. Jesus has 1,000 on scalar waves.
But I think Jesus would hate the Bible as it's written.
I agree. I think
my opinion. But so yeah.
I think Jesus is a revolutionist. I don't want to say was, because I think Jesus is still on board and working through all of us, and that we are supposed to do greater things than Jesus, which some people aren't doing that, and some people are trying. And I look at the Bible as quantum physics. I'm a word person, so I like breaking things down like Jen did. And I don't know if you guys who know Paul Wallace is, but kind of have the same kind of deal of ideas of what kind of similar to him. But again, I love you guys. I love that we're all so different, and who knows what Laura would say, being here. But I definitely have a personal relationship as well, just like Kerry is saying too. Like, I don't deny God. I believe there's a God, and I believe that God is in us and in our DNA, and that we are supposed to be doing greater things. And part of those greater things for me in this world now, in this timeline, is to do whatever I think is right for me. And my right may not be your right, or anybody who's watching's right, because we're all so diverse, and we're all little cells of God. And even about what you eat or drink or where you go. I mean, I'm very cautious and try to go inward on, like, is this thing going to be good for me to go to this thing? Is this a person I should talk to? Is this what I should eat today? It's a part of everything that I do all the time. And I know all of you, both of you, have that guidance, inner guidance that you follow for a GPS. I call it my God positioning system. And so, yeah, but that's my alarm clock for my next thing. And I just adore you guys. You guys can find me at swiftfire.org. And I don't know when our next one is, but I can't wait. And hopefully Laura will be back with us. And thank you, Kerry, for hosting this. And Jen, oh my God, I want to hug you both so much. And I just love when we get together.
Lots of love, and it's all good. Okay.
And everybody who's watching.
I mean, of course, you guys know I love Juan. So, but I have disagreements. So, just think it's important to say.
I love that we don't agree. I love that. I love that we love each other, even though we don't agree.
There's a zillion people out there, Muslims, Christians, Jewish, you name it.
I'm not religious at all, but I do believe in God.
Everything under the sun, right?
Yes.
So
and I just think it's so cool because, like, if you watch a show like The View, it's very like 4 against 1 kind of thing, right? And when we get on, we all just like freely talk. There's no like mean spirited anything. And I think we all just talk and like work out things, and things come up, and we get to talk about it and ask questions, and people get to join us and ask their questions and throw in their 2 cents. I love watching all the comments, and I just adore everybody who always joins us. And it makes, we weren't live at first, and then Kerry went on live because she said she liked the energy. Me too. I love whenever one joins us. It feels like a big fun time for me. So I love you guys.
Well, I think
so
it's a family, and I think all of the people watching us are part of the family. So, I think it's fun.
That's right. And again, like agreement is nice, but it's not necessary to have total agreement. And you can still find areas of agreement. So I think that's also with maturing as humans, is knowing that we're not going to agree on everything. And that doesn't mean that, you know, you're a bad person.
It's called unconditional love.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, we've reached it. We've achieved it. Wow, it's possible. It's possible, everybody.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, but in the end, you know, what's bigger than God anyway? And we all agree on God. So there you go.
God is love and we love each other. Yeah.
All right. So
Go love.
kind of a deep show. Didn't mean to go there, but whatever. All right.
Hey, that's where we went. Let's have fun. You guys
Bye,
have a good
everybody.
night. Love you guys.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.